hitting the record button. There we are.
Sure.
Mm.
The thing, Russell, is that we have been thinking about online education for the last 2 years, especially as we sort of began to develop a sustainability program, plan. And online was very much on the cards. We had people commence thinking about it, but this sort of really dumped us in the deep end. But to some extent, we were prepared mentally. We had to fast track. The situation was such that we had to decide whether we could teach this term. Our term begins in May, because we couldn't physically meet. And then we decided, why don't we attempt to do this whole program online, all the courses. And we consulted our faculty, and most faculty said they'll be willing to try. And so we've decided to do that. We opened a Facebook page, and we began to let students know that they can sign up for classes. Right now, we are in the registration process, and we hope to commence our term with an online Zoom chapel meeting on the 25th of May. So on the 25th, we will commence formally. The courses are now being prepared. We are preparing resources. The library is helping us with scanning resources. And so we are trying to learn how to do this well. What we're going to do is basically use Google Meet, because we have the license for Google Suite, and also use Moodle as our second platform, online sort of learning platform. And with those two resources, we think we can manage. Now, the problem for students is connectivity and data. So that's a huge issue for some of them. In fact, all schools are using online forms of delivery. Children are online, as you know. And so families do struggle with this extra data usage.
Mm-hmm.
In some parts of the country, it's not that easy. The second big issue for our students is that many of them don't have laptops, and they try to manage with smartphones. But there is a huge limitation when it comes to that. So one of the things we're trying to do is to make sure we offer the students compensation or reduction in costs, so that they can invest the savings on data and hopefully even find other ways to improve the devices they use. So we have already designed an offer, a kind of a form that they can fill up. If they have found that they have lost income during this time, they can let us know as a seminary, and we will then ensure that they will have some relief from their normal costs. And so we are trying to find a way to mitigate that, but just to make sure. Then, of course, on our faculty side, because many of them will not be traveling into the seminary to use the facilities, again, there is the challenge of data. So we have to ensure that our faculty have adequate routers and or dongles, but preferably routers that will help them to have good broadband for them to sustain good classes that run for 2 hours or more per session. So that's the situation with our online curve. I'm excited, but also quite weary trying to get all these things ready and running up and running. But it's amazing to see the team working so well, developing new methods.
Right. So, what are some of the resource needs that you have? You've mentioned data, obviously, and faculties. Have they all got enough, in terms of their laptops and the hardware side?
Yes. So it is some faculty have not been able to invest in good laptops. They have managed with the computers in the seminary. So they are going to struggle, and we need to try to support them at this time with that, as well as data. We also have been, so that's basically, and also I just spoke with the IT manager, and he sees us needing to upgrade our storage, because with the amount of work happening on Moodle, the amount of storage that we have will be totally inadequate. So there will be a need to upgrade our storage for our web hosting and Moodle platforms. Those are the online costs that we see for students and faculty and the administration. We're of course doing a lot of our meetings also online now, and so our management team often has to use data. The admin staff, also the accounts person, they work a lot from home now to make things happen. So that's the issue with online.
So what are the costs per month for you as an institution for your data? Do you have an institutional cost or is it individual?
It is the institutional cost will remain roughly the same because people aren't coming into the campus now. In fact, we will have a drop-in use because our students used to use our data and faculty and staff. But what we will need is to ensure that the individuals have additional support for them because this will be work related and they have not personally invested in that. So I'm looking at, say, an annual cost per person of about 35,000 rupees, including the router and the data. That's what it will cost. And I think we have about 15 people that need to be supported for them to carry on the good work. So there will be a slight drop in the institutional data costs, but the individuals will have to be provided.
So what's been the most significant positive thing to come out of this so far?
The most positive thing for us as a seminary is that we have taken the corner in terms of using technology. Taken a corner, not I wouldn't say taken the corner, but taken a corner because we do have, for example, we've just launched our Facebook page and we began a forum, a series of forums on COVID-19 and the Christian faith. Just as an example, we have a new young faculty member called Nathaniel, who has been putting together teams of panels discussing this. And in our very first 30-minute video, Zoom video, we had 1,600 views, which means 1,600 people in our Facebook page checking out the seminary. The next one was up yesterday. The second part of the series, Dr. Ajit Fernando and Dr. Manu Emmanuel spoke about hope and lament. And within 1 hour, we had over 500 views. So we realized that we have really seen opportunities to expand our influence. And say, for instance, the Bible study that I did, this teaching that I did this morning, we had nearly 100 pastors getting connected to the seminary and to our teaching. So this push into technology has meant that we are seeing, and so we are expecting our online courses. In fact, I had a call just last week from someone saying, do you know, Ivo, CTS is the talk of the town. I said, what do you mean? He said, you guys are going online. We've just heard that you are going online. So there is some great excitement and we expect many people to take classes who wouldn't have otherwise had access. So we see that as a parallel track that we will run, be able to influence. We have inquiries also from overseas, Sri Lankans overseas, wanting to study. So this is opening up a new opportunity for us.
Great. And so that's fantastic. It's really wonderful to hear that. What would be the biggest hurdle that you have to overcome at the moment?
The biggest hurdle, I guess, is the hurdle of learning, helping faculty to cope, providing technical support. We have just managed with one IT person in the campus, but now there's constant inquiries, people asking for help technically as well as learning how to handle these various things. So I think providing the kind of learning and education and improvement of the faculty will be key, so that as a community we do it well. I think that's going to be the big challenge. We will see in the next few weeks how many faculty will struggle, and we will have to be there to support that. I think that would be the one big hurdle. The other is, of course, at the end of the day, we teach everybody, in a community of physical space. We see each other's faces, we have tea together, and to be running a whole seminary program without any of those interactions feels kind of surreal and kind of very sad situation. But I'm sure there will be lots lost in this new mode for the moment. And how do we make up for it? How do we make up for community and our discipleship groups? These are going to be some of our struggles. How do we sustain a true seminary feel when we are not able to meet each other. So that's I think anyway the global challenge at the moment for Christian.
Yes, yes. Well, that's wonderful. I'll stop the recording there and then we'll carry on chatting.